Welcome back to our channel. So, you've been watching our previous videos and spent some time getting your business ready for sale. Now the financials are cleaned up. You've determined what your business really makes, its discretionary earnings. You've established a price that reflects its actual value, and you've started the marketing process. And now buyers are showing up. Emails landing, phone calls coming in, strategic buyers, investment partners, etc. It's very exciting. It is. It's very exciting. We've been doing this for more than 25 years, and it's still exciting when we bring a business to market. But this is when most business owners realize they aren't prepared for a specific and critical question. How do you know which buyers are real and which ones are tire kickers, or worse, competitors looking for information? In this video, I want to walk you through exactly how we vet buyers when we bring a business to market and how you should be thinking about this as a seller. Or if you're a broker, how you should be dealing with this to protect your client's information. When you bring a business to market and buyers start showing up, it feels like stuff is happening. Momentum is starting to build. It's a very interesting time. You're eager to follow up with all of these potential buyers because you're certain that in this pile of inquiries, there's at least 2 or 3 that are going to be able to make this deal. But unvetted buyers can waste months of your time, disrupt your operations, and access confidential information that, once in public, can seriously damage your business and its value. That's why buyer vetting isn't optional. It's critical. It has to be part of the process of protecting the value that you've built in your business. So buyers should be vetted from 2 particular and distinct standpoints: operational and financial. Here's how we do it. From an operational perspective, we start with this basic question: can this buyer actually run your business? A buyer doesn't need to be perfect, but they do need to be capable. We want to know, how has this buyer ever managed a business, ever run a business? And this doesn't mean that they need to have owned a business. That's not the case. But have they managed one? Have they managed a division of a larger business? Have they managed employees, and have they managed cash flow and profit and loss statements? Do they have experience in your industry, or a parallel one, or a related one? For example, if yours is a food service business, maybe they worked in food manufacturing or food distribution. Do they know the language of the industry? Are they familiar with the big players? If you're at all concerned about the business surviving, you've got to know whether or not any particular buyer has the skill and the background to operate it successfully. Now, some owners will say, what do I care? I'm going to get my dough. I'm going to move to the south of France, lay on the beach, and drink wine for the rest of my days. Well, that's all good and well, but I want to give you 3 reasons why you might care. The first is legacy. Are you at all concerned about yours? Is your name on the building or on the door? Do the people in your community recognize you and identify you as the owner of the business? If it fails, will it impact you emotionally or socially? Item number 2 is employees. In many cases, long-time business owners feel that their employees are the closest thing to family that don't have blood relations. Would the failure of your business under new ownership impact those employees? And if so, would it impact, in turn, you? And number 3, financial. The transfer of more than 80% of small and lower middle market businesses involves some level of seller financing. In order for you to be fully paid, the business that you sell must survive and thrive, at least until the full acquisition price is received. If you're carrying a note, or if you're considering doing an earnout to get the biggest possible value, you're still financially tied to that business for quite some time after the closing. Operational experience need not be specific to your business, but it has to be sufficient to suggest that the buyer won't drive the business into the tank. Now, the other vetting aspect is financial. Can a buyer that you're talking to, do they have the money? So let's talk about money. You want to make sure that the buyer can actually pull the trigger, that they have the horsepower to close the deal. So how do you do that? Well, let's start with how you don't do that. Many of you, probably most of you, have experience buying or selling houses. And as such, you'll probably be familiar with this. As part of their normal protocols, real estate agents use the phrase proof of funds when talking to a buyer. The agent wants proof that the buyer has the money to close on the purchase of the particular house that they want to take a look at. And they will often, the agents will often not even show the house until they have such proof that the buyer has the cash. Well, when business owners foolishly list their business with real estate agents, those agents, not surprisingly, use their home selling protocols when attempting to sell businesses. However, asking for proof of funds is an amateur move and an insult to legitimate business buyers and is guaranteed to send them elsewhere. Business buyers have no interest in disclosing their personal financial information and will refuse to provide the customary documentation that one would normally serve as proof of funds. But that doesn't mean we can't confirm their ability to buy. We approach this differently, and we do so in a way that respects the confidentiality of the buyer's financial condition, but gives us the certainty needed to proceed with data disclosure. We don't ask for financial data. We ask for professional testimony. So, what is professional testimony? We want a statement on letterhead from some professional that has the credibility to make such a statement and is comfortable from a reputational standpoint in doing so. An attorney, an accountant, a banker or lender, a financial planner, a wealth advisor, any of these individuals are legitimate sources of that testimony. If any of these individuals is willing to give us a statement that they know the buyer well, they can attest to their professional bona fides, that they can state that they have the financial credibility or capability to close a deal of this size, we're happy. We're satisfied. We feel we can now proceed with disclosing confidential information. Now, the purpose of this process is to confirm that the buyer is known, the buyer is credible, and the buyer is capable of completing a deal of this size. We don't care about proof of funds. We care about proof of capability. That's what we want. Any buyer unwilling to provide that level of credibility is usually not a serious buyer. Real buyers don't mind being vetted. In fact, they expect to be. Tire kickers, especially competitor spies, don't want to be anywhere near vetting. NDAs are simply not enough. Buyers must be screened fully before sensitive information is shared. Otherwise, information that should never be made public will get into the wrong hands with potentially disastrous results. Vetting doesn't scare away good buyers. It filters out bad ones. Selling a business isn't just about getting an offer. It's about getting the right buyer, someone who knows what they're doing and is capable of actually closing on the deal. Espionage is rampant and a fact of life in business. Competitors want to know, what prices and terms are you getting from suppliers? What are you paying your employees? What are you pricing? What are you charging your customers? And more. You've got to know who you're giving this information to. You've got to know when to give it, and you've got especially to know who not to give it to. You can't simply take a risk and disclose confidential, proprietary, or detailed information to anybody who just shows up asking for it. You must be as sure as you possibly can that you're dealing with a real buyer. If you're coming to market now or thinking about it, make sure that you're prepared not just for buyers to show up, but be able to tell the real ones from the imposters. In our next video, in fact, it's a series of videos, we're going to focus on the process of selling a business. First, we'll list and briefly describe the 6 key elements of selling a business, and then do a deep dive into each element, from making the decision to closing the deal. Essentially, this will be a roadmap to guide you through the process, and you'll know what to expect and what's expected of you at every stage. If you're seriously considering selling a business, subscribe so you don't miss any of that series. And if you found this video helpful, hit the like button. I'd appreciate that. Finally, I've listed several excellent resources for valuing and selling businesses in the description below. Resources that will be integral to the 6 Key Elements series that begins next week. So, thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.